Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parejana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Scha Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanajana Shalakya Chakshurum Nidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurkam Garganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chincha Chincha Samasta Veda Nipanam Shirupa Patanagam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurunsha Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Maneka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shridaram Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahaprabhu Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami with translation and commentary by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is the Antya-lila chapter 3, the glories of Srila Haridas Thakur, and this is verse number 60. Namaikam yasya vachi smarana patagatam shrotam mulam gatam va shuram vasudha varnam vyavahita rahitam tarayati eva satyam tatsched dehadravina janata loba pashanda madhye nikshiptam shan Nafala janakam shigram evatra vipra. If a devotee once utters the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ear, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly, with correct or incorrect grammar, or properly joined or vibrated in separate parts. O Brahman, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism, in other words, if one utters the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired result very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offenses and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Namabhas hoite hoi sarva papakoi. Namacharya Haridas Thakur continued, if one offenselessly utters the holy name, even imperfectly, one can be freed from all the results of sinful life. Tam nirvyajam bhajaguna nidhe pavanam pavanam Shradarajan matir atitaram utama shloka mulim prodyan antakarana kuhare hantayan namabanor abashopi shapayati mahapataka dvantarasim. O reservoir of all good qualities, just worship Sri Krishna, the purifier of all purifiers, the most exalted of the personalities worshipped by choice poetry. Worship him with a faithful, unflinching mind, without duplicity, and in a highly elevated manner. Thus worship the Lord, whose name is like the sun, for just as a slight appearance of the sun dissipates the darkness of night, so a slight appearance of the holy name of Krishna can drive away all the darkness of ignorance that arises in the heart due to greatly sinful activities performed in previous lives. This verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Namabhasha hoite hoi samsara koi. Namabhasha hoite hoi samsarera koi. Even a faint light from the holy name of the Lord can eradicate all the reactions of sinful life. Mriyamano Harernama Grinan Putro Pacharitam Ajamilopi Agadama Kim Uta Shradaya Grinan. While dying, Ajamil chanted the holy name of the Lord, intending to call his son Narayan. Nevertheless, he attained the spiritual world. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with faith and reverence? Namabhas mukti hoy sarvashastri deki Shri Bhagavate tate ajamila shakti. Because of even the faintest rays of the effulgence of the Lord's holy name, one can attain liberation. We can see this in all the revealed scriptures. The evidence appears in the story of Ajamil in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shunya prabhura shuka baraye antare. Shunya prabhura sukha baraye antare punarapi bhangi kori puchaye tahare. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Haridas Thakur, then the happiness within his heart increased. But as a matter of course, he still inquired further. Pratibite bahu jiva stabara jangama iha savaraki prakare hoy vimochana. On this earth there are many living entities, the Lord said, some moving and some not moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from material bondage? Haridas Kohe Prabhu se Kripa Tomar Stabara Jangama Age Korijacha Nishtara. Haridas Thakur replied, My Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. Tumi je Korijacha e Ucha Sankirtan Stabara Jangamera say Hayanta Shravan. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone moving or not moving has benefited by hearing it. So we were in Campos do Jordão in Brazil. Srila Govindamars had all the devotees go in kirtan and chant among the trees, because he said the trees were waiting so long to hear the holy name. He had us chant, go around with where the trees were and chant. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone, moving or not moving, has benefited by hearing it. Shunya Jangamera hoy samsara koi stabare se shabda lage pratidvani hoy. My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage to the material world, and after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Pratidvani nahi se koraye kirtan tomara kripara e akatyakatan. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is the kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. Hear that? He says, sometimes, my Lord, the living entities who have heard your loud sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage to the material world. And after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is a kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. Sakala jagate hoy ucha sankirtan shunya prema veshe nache stavara jangam. When the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic devotional love. Jaiche koila charikande brindavana jaite malabhadra bhattacharya kahi jachin amate. My dear Lord, all the incidents that took place while you were going to Vrindavan and through the forest known as Jarikanda have been related to me by your servant Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Vasudeva Jiva Lage Koila Nivedan Tabi Angikara Koila Jivara Mochan. When your devotee Vasudeva Datta submitted his plea at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted that request. Jagat Nishtarite Tomara Avatar Bhakta Bhava Agetate Koila Angikar. My dear Lord, you have accepted the form of a devotee just to deliver all the fallen souls of this world. Uchasankirtan Tate Korila Prachar Stirachara Jivara Sub Kandailai Samsar. You have preached the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and in this way freed all moving and non-moving living entities from material bondage. Prabhu Kohe Sab Jiva Mukti Jabe Pabe Eta Brahmanda Tabe Jiva Shunya Habe. Mahaprabhu replied, if all living entities are liberated, the entire universe will be devoid of living beings. Haridas Bole Tomara Javat Mritye Stiti Tavat Stavara Jangama Sarva Jiva Jati Sabamukta Koritumi Vaikunte Pataiba Sukma Jive Punakarme Udbura Koriba. Haridas said, my Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again, you will awaken living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities. Say Jiva Habe Iha Stavara Jangama Tahate Barive Brahmanda Jena Purbasam. In this way, all moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence, and the entire universe will be filled as it was previously. Purve Jena Raghunatha Sab Adyodya Loya Vaikunta Ke Gela Anya Jive Ayodhya Varana. Previously, when Lord Ramachandra left this world, he took with him all the living entities of Ayodhya. Then he filled Ayodhya again with other living entities. Avatare Tumi Aiche Pati Achahat Kehona Bujite Pare Tomara Gudanat. My dear Lord, you have set a plan in motion by descending to the material world, but no one can understand how you are acting. Purve Jena Braje Krishna Kori Avatar Sakala Brahmanda Jiver Kandaila Samsar. Formerly, when Lord Krishna descended in Vrindavan, he freed all living entities in the universe from material existence in the same way. Nachaivam Vishmayat Karyo Bhavata Bhagavati Ajay Yogeshwareshware Krishne Jata Eta Vimuchate. Krishna, the unborn Supreme Personality of God and Master of all masters of mystic power, delivers all living entities, moving and non-moving. Nothing is astonishing in the activities of the Lord. Ayam e Bhagavan Drishta Kirtita Samsmritascha Dveshanu Bandh Henapi Akila Surasurade Durlabam Phalam Prayachati Kim Uta Samyag Bhakti Matamiti. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service to the Lord? Taidche Tumi Nabadwip Koryavatar Sakala Brahmanda Jiver Korila Nishtar. By descending as an incarnation at Nabadwip, you, just like Krishna, have already delivered all the living entities of the universe. Jeko He Chaitanya Mahima Mora Gochara Hoy Se Januka Mora Puna Eta Nishoy. One may say that he understands the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may know whatever he may know, but as far as I am concerned, this is my conclusion. Tomara Antya-lila Maha Amritera Sindhu Moramano Gochara Nahe Tara Ek Bindu. My dear Lord, your pastimes are like an ocean of nectar. It is not possible for me to conceive how great that ocean is, or even to understand a drop of it. Eta Shuni Prabhurmane Chamatkara Hoila Mora Guda Lila Haridasa Kemone Janaila. Hearing all this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was astonished. These are actually my confidential pastimes, he thought. How could Haridas have understood them? Manera Santoshe Tare Koila Alingan Baye Prakashite Esab Korila Varjan. Greatly astonished by the statements of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. Outwardly, however, he avoided further discussions of these matters. Ishvara Swabhava Aishvarya Chahe Achadite Bhaktatai Lukaite Nare Hoy Tabidite. This is a characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. Ulangita Tribida Shima Samatishai Sambhavanam Tava Parivradima Swabhavam Maya Bolena Bhavatapi Nigudyamanam Pashyanti Kechid Anisham Tvad Ananya Bhava. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Tabe Mahaprabhu Nija Bhakta Pashe Jana Haridas Era Guna Kahe Shatamukahaya. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities as if he had hundreds of mouths. Bhaktera Guna Kahite Prabhura Badaye Ulas Bhakta Gana Shrestha Tate Sri Haridas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and among the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. Haridas Era Gunagana Asankhya Apar Keho Kona Amshe Barne Nahi Pai Par. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. Chaitanya Mangale Sri Vrindavanadas Haridas Era Gunakichu Kori Jachana Prakash. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavan Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. Sabkahana Jai Haridas Charitra Keho Kichu Kohe Korite Apana Pavitra. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. Vrindavanadas Jahana Koila Barnan Haridas Er Guna Kichu Shuna Bhaktagan. O devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please hear something about the qualities of Haridas Thakur that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has not described in detail. Haridas Jabe Nija Griha Tyaga Koila Mena Poler Bana Madhye Katadina Rohila. After leaving his home, Haridas Thakur stayed for some time in the forest of Benapol. Near Janabane Kutir Tare Tulasi Sevan Ratri Dine Tin Laka Namasankirtan. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. Brahmanera Gare Kore Bika Nirvahan. The village, Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. The village of Benapol is situated in the district of Jashohar, or Jeshore, which is now in Bangladesh. Benapol is near the Banagano station, which is at the border of Bangladesh and may be reached by the Eastern Railway of Shelda Station in Calcutta. Haridas Thakur, being the acharya of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is called Namacharya Haridas Thakur. From his personal example, we can understand that chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and becoming highly elevated in Krishna consciousness is very simple. Without difficulty, one can sit down anywhere, especially on the bank of the Ganges, Jamuna, or any other sacred river, devise a sitting place or cottage, plant a tulsi tree, and before the tulsi chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra undisturbed. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads 300,000 times daily. Throughout the entire day and night, he would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy name 300,000 times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purush, or liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on beads every day and offering respect to the Tulsi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with the vow before the Tulsi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this, one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respects to the Tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity. Brahmanera gare kore bikan nirbahan prabhabe sakalalok koreye pujan. For his bodily maintenance, he would go to a Brahmin's house and beg some food. He was spiritually so influential that all the neighboring people worshipped him. In the days of Haridas Thakur, all the Brahmins worshipped Lord Narayan in the form of the Shalagram Shila. Therefore, begging from a Brahmin's house meant taking Krishna Prasadam, which is transcendental, nirguna. If we take food from the houses of others, such as karmis, we shall have to share the qualities of those from whom we take alms. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasadam in the houses of Vaishnavas. This is the general process. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are advised not to take food from anywhere but a Vaishnava's or Brahman's house where deity worship is performed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Vishayera ana kaile dushta hoy man. If a devotee takes alms or food from the house of a karmi who is simply interested in money, his mind will become unclean. We must always remember that a devotee's life is one of vairagya vidya, or renunciation and knowledge. Therefore, all devotees are warned not to live unnecessary, luxurious lives at the cost of others. Grihastas living within the jurisdiction of the temple must be especially careful not to imitate karmis by acquiring opulent clothing, food, and conveyances. As far as possible, these should be avoided. A member of the temple, whether grihasta, brahmachari, or sannyasi, must practice a life of renunciation, following in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur and the 6 Goswamis. Otherwise, because Maya is very strong at any time, one may become a victim of Maya and fall down from spiritual life. Say Desha Yaka Nama Ramachandra Khan, Vaishnava Vidbeshi, say Pashanda Pradhan. A landholder named Ramachandra Khan was a zamindar of that district. He was envious of Vaishnavas and was therefore a great atheist. This is where Haridas was living. There was a zamindar means somebody who is very rich and has much land. And in this case, the village was under the jurisdiction of Ramachandra Khan. So he was a very rich person in that area, and he had envy of the Vaishnavas. Haridase loke puje, shahate na pare, tara apamana korite nana upai kore. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. Kon prakare Haridaser chidra nahi pai, Veshyagane anikore chidra upai. By no means could he find any fault in the character of Haridas Thakur. Therefore he called for local prostitutes and began a plan to discredit his holiness. This is typical of atheistic men, but even among so-called religionists, sadhus, mendicants, sannyasis, and brahmacharis, there are many enemies of the Krishna conscious movement who always try to find faults in it, not considering that the movement is spreading automatically by the grace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted it spread all over the world in every town and village. We are trying to fulfill the Lord's desire, and our attempt has become fairly successful. But the enemies of this movement unnecessarily try to find fault in it, exactly like the old rascal Ramachandra Khan who opposed Haridas Thakur. Beshagane kohe e vairagi Haridas, tumi sab korai har vairagya dharmanash. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitutes, "There is a mendicant named Haridas Thakur. All of you devise a way to deviate him from his vows of austerity." Devotional service is the path of vairagya, vidya, renunciation, and knowledge. Haridas Thakur was following this path, but Ramachandra Khan planned to induce him to break his vows. Renunciation means renunciation of sensual pleasure, especially the pleasure of sex. Therefore, a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha is strictly prohibited from having relationships with women. Haridas Thakur was strictly renounced, and thus Ramachandra Khan called for prostitutes because prostitutes know how to break a man's vow of celibacy by their feminine influence and thus pollute a mendicant or a person engaged in devotional life. It was impossible for Ramachandra Khan to induce any other women to break Haridas Thakur's vow, and therefore he called for prostitutes. Free mingling with women has never been possible in India, but for one who wanted to associate with society girls, they were available in a district of prostitutes. There were prostitutes in human society even in Lord Krishna's time, for it is said that the prostitutes of Dwarka city came forth to receive the Lord. Although they were prostitutes, they were also devotees of Krishna. Veshagana madhye ek sundare juvati sekohe tindin kor hariba taramati. Among the prostitutes, one attractive young girl was selected. "I shall attract the mind of Haridas Thakur," she promised, "within 3 days. Kanakohe mora paika joka tomar sane tomara sahite katra tare dare jena ane." Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitute, "My constable will go with you, so that as soon as he sees you with Haridas Thakur, immediately he will arrest him and bring both of you to me." Beshikohe mora sanga hauk ekbar dvitiya bare darite paika loimutomar. The prostitute replied, "First let me have union with him once. Then the second time I shall take your constable with me to arrest him." Ratrikale se vesha subesha dariya haridaser veshaya gela ulasitahaya. At night, the prostitute, after dressing herself most attractively, went to the cottage of Haridas Thakur with great jubilation. Tulasi namaskari haridaser dwarijana gosaire namaskari rohila dondaya. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant, she went to the door of Haridas Thakur, offered him obeisances, and stood there. Anga Ugadia dekai basila duyare kahite lagila kichus sumadura sware. Exposing part of her body to his view, she sat down on the threshold of the door and spoke to him in very sweet words. Thakur tume parama sundar pratama jovana toma deki konari darite parimana. My dear Thakur, O great preacher, great devotee, you are so beautifully built, and your youth is just beginning. who is the woman who could control her mind after seeing you? So apparently this is in the time when Haridas is not old. Tomara Sangama Lage Lubda Moraman Toma Na Pailipran Na Jai Daran. I am eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain you, I shall not be able to keep my body and soul together. Haridas Kohe Toma Korimu Angikar Shanka Nama Samapti Javat Nahoy Amar Tavat Tumi Basi Shuna Nama Sankirtan Nama Samapti Hoile Korimu Jay Tomaraman. Haridas Thakur replied, I shall accept you without fail, but you will have to wait until I have finished chanting my regular number of rounds on my beads. Until that time, please sit and listen to the chanting of the holy name. As soon as I am finished, I shall fulfill your desire. Eta Shuni Se Beisha Vasya Rohila Kirtana Korid Haridas Prata Kalahoila. Hearing this, the prostitute remained sitting there while Haridas Thakur chanted on his beads until the light of morning arrived. Pratakala Deki Beisha Uttiya Chalila Sabasamachara Jai Kanere Kohila. When she saw that it was morning, the prostitute stood up and left. Coming before Ramachandra Khan, she informed him of all the news. Ajimora Angikara Koryanche Bachane Kaleabasha Tahar Sange Hoibe Sangame. Today Haridas Thakur has promised to enjoy with me. Tomorrow certainly I shall have union with him. Aradin Ratri Hoile Vesha Aila Haridas Tare Bahu Ashvasa Korila. The next night, when the prostitute came again, Haridas Thakur gave her many assurances. Kaliduka Paila Aparad Na Loiba Mor Abasha Korimu Ami Tomai Angikar. Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you. Tavat Ihan Basi Chuna Namasankirtan Namapurna Hoile Purna Habeto Marman. Please sit down and hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desire will surely be fulfilled. Tulasere Tanke Besha Namaskara Kori Duare Base Nama Shune Bole Hari Hari. After offering her obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, she also chanted, "O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari." She chanted, Hari, Hari. Here one can clearly see how a Vaishnava delivers a fallen soul by a transcendental trick. The prostitute came to pollute Haridas Thakur, but he took it as his duty to deliver the prostitute. As clearly demonstrated here, the process of deliverance is very simple. With faith and reverence, the prostitute associated with Haridas Thakur, who personally treated her material disease by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Although the prostitute had an ulterior motive, somehow or other she got the association of a Vaishnava and satisfied him by occasionally chanting in imitation, "O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari." The conclusion is that associating with a Vaishnava chanting the holy name of the Lord and offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant or a Vaishnava all lead one to become a transcendental devotee who is completely cleansed of all material contamination. Ratri Sesha Hoila Vesha Unimishi Kore Tarariti Deki Haridasa Kohena Tahare. When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows. Kotinama Grahana Jagya Kori Ekmashe Edika Korijanchi Hoila Ashi Seishe. I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. Aji samapta hoibi hena jnanachila samasta ratri niluns nama samapta na hoila. I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of yajna, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish. Kali samapta habe tabe habe brata banga swachande tomara sange hoibeka sanga. Tomorrow I will surely finish and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom. Vaishagiya samachara kanere kohila aradin sandhya hoite takura tai aila. The prostitute returned to Ramachandra Khan and informed him of what had happened. The next day she came earlier at the beginning of the evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. Tulasi ke Thakura ke namaskara kori dware bashe namashune bole hari hari. After offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Thus she began to hear Haridas Thakur's chanting, and she also personally chanted Hari Hari, the holy name of the Lord. Nama Purna Habe Aje Bole Haridas Tabe Purna Korimu Aje Tomara Abilas. Today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting, Haridas Thakur informed her. Then I shall satisfy all your desires. Kirtana Korite Aiche Ratri Se Shahoila Takorer Sane Veshara Manafire Gela. The night ended with Haridas Thakur. The night ended while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association, the mind of the prostitute had changed. Dandavad Hayapade Thakur Charane Ramachandra Kanera Kata Koila Nivedane. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramachandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramachandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Veshahaya mui papa koryachona par kripa kore kore modame nishtar. Because I've taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed unlimited sinful acts. My Lord, be merciful to me. Deliver my fallen soul. Takur kohe kanera kata sab amijani agyamorka se tare dukkha nahimani. Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore, his activities do not make me feel unhappy. Say din jaitama estana chariya tindin rahilana toma nishtara lagia. On the very day Ramachandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately, but because you came to me, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you. Veshakohe Kripa Kori Koraha Upadesh Kimora Kartavya Jate Jai Babad Klesh. The prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master. Instruct me in my duty by which I can get relief from material existence. Thakur Kohe Garera Dravya Brahmane Koradan Egaryashi Tumi Koraha Vishram. Haridas Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute to the Brahmins whatever property you have. Then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Nirantara Namaloy Kora Tulasi Sevan Achirat Pabe Tabe Krishnara Charan. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way, you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. Etabolitara unama upadesha kori utiya chalila takur bole hari hari. After thus instructing the prostitute about the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Haridas Thakur stood up and left, continuously chanting Hari Hari. Tabise Vesha Gurur Agyaloila Grihabita Jevachila Brahmanere Dila. Thereafter, the prostitute distributed to the Brahmins whatever household possessions she had, following the order of her spiritual master. Mata Mudi Ek Bastre Rohila Segare Ratri Dine Tina Lak Nama Grahana Kore. The prostitute shaved her head clean in accordance with Vaishnava principles and stayed in that room wearing only one cloth. Following in the footsteps of her spiritual master, she began chanting the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day. She chanted throughout the entire day and night. Tulasi Sevana Kore Charvana Upavas Indriya Damana Hoila Pramera Prakash. So she chanted 300,000 times a day the holy name. So 64 rounds is 100,000 times. So 300,000 times a day the holy name would mean she can't chant it every day 192 rounds. Tulasi Sevana Kore Charvana Upavas Indriya Damana Hoila Premera Prakash. She worshipped the tulsi plant, following in the footsteps of her spiritual master. Instead of eating regularly, she chewed whatever food she received as alms, and if nothing was supplied, she would fast. Thus, by eating frugally and fasting, she conquered her senses, and as soon as her senses were controlled, symptoms of love of Godhead appeared in her person. Prasiddha Vaishnavi Hoila Parama Mahanti Bora Bora Vaishnavatara Darshanete Janti. Thus the prostitute became a celebrated devotee. She became very advanced in spiritual life, and many stalwart Vaishnavas would come to see her. Vishara Charitra Deki Loke Chamatkar Haridaser Mahima Kohe Kori Namaskar. Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. Ramachandra Kana Aparada Bija Koila Se Bij Rikahoya Agete Falila. By inducing a prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan caused a seed of offense at his lotus feet to germinate. This seed later became a tree, and when it fructified, Ramachandra Khan ate its fruits. Mahadaparader Phala Adbhuta Katan Prastavapaya Kohe Shuna Bhaktagan. This offense at the lotus feet of an exalted devotee has resulted in a wonderful narration. Taking advantage of the opportunity afforded by these incidents, I shall explain what happened. O devotees, please listen. Sahajaya Vaishnava Ramachandra Khan Haridaser Aparade Hoila Asura Saman. Ramachandra Khan was naturally a non-devotee. Now, having offended the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, he became just like a demoniac atheist. Vaishnava Dharma Ninda Kori Vaishnava Apaman Bahudinera Aparade Paila Parinam. Because of blaspheming the cult of Vaishnavism and insulting the devotees for a long time, he now received the results of his offensive activities. So tomorrow I'll continue from this point. This is chapter 3, Glories of Haridas Thakur. And what we see from the story of the prostitute is that Ramachandra Khan, he wanted to pollute Haridas Thakur and discredit the Vaishnavas. And especially discredit Haridas Thakur and discredit the Vaishnavas, because he was very envious of the Vaishnavas. So he sent a prostitute. But his plan, instead of discrediting Haridas Thakur, it resulted in the prostitute becoming an exalted saintly devotee, and that just increased the glories of Haridas Thakur, and people began glorifying Haridas Thakur because by his mercy, even a fallen prostitute, she became a saintly devotee, and that spread the fame of Haridas Thakur more. So Ramachandra Khan's plan had just the opposite result of what he wanted. He wanted to discredit Haridas Thakur and discredit the Vaishnavas, and instead Haridas Thakur became more glorified by saving this Vaishnava. Haridas Thakur said, when you came to see me, I already knew the plan of Ramachandra Khan. He's a fool, but I only stayed here to deliver you. That's what he said. So now I'm going to sing Hari Hari Harai. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghuna. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghuna. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghuna. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghuna. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran. Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradan. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradan. Kasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Kasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Kadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Kadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame More Ambilas. Janame More Ambilas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash. Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Das. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Das. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nita Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nita Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nita Gora Hari Bo, 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 Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Goranga Gandharvika Giridhari Joki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tata Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tata Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vishwavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nabadwip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sokel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.